Today, I want to discuss how the Credit Suisse AMC and GameStop swaps that UBS currently has are set to trigger a squeeze, which will lead to the collapse of numerous other Wall Street banks in addition to UBS. Believe me. Folks, this one contains some strange information. So, let's go right to the point and begin with the most important details. 741 Susquehanna Securities has been charged by the New York Stock Exchange and CBOE for developing off-book investment vehicles without informing the exchanges. According to a recent tweet from Trey, I already informed you that not all trading takes place on the stock exchange, the market, or in the books. Some transactions take place over the counter, or OTC, while others are even more covert and take place over the phone, over email, or in person, far from prying eyes. The price of stocks is unaffected by these trades. These are transactions made via a trading platform rather than the stock market. They are not a transaction in options. They're not even a trade in dark pool. They're not even over the counter. Beyond that, they are much more secretive. So covert, in fact, that many Wall Street banks are making these off-book trades or investment vehicles without even informing stock exchanges. Naturally, they were only fined a little, but it proves that these extremely covert transactions, which do not take place on the stock exchange, in dark pools or over the counter, really occur. In fact, a large number of Wall Street funds, Wall Street banks, and Wall Street hedge funds are being found to have engaged in these extremely covert transactions. Furthermore, a NOAA action letter about the CFTC's swap clearing and uncleared swap margin requirements pertaining to UBS and Credit Suisse was issued today by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's Market Participation Division, Clearing Division, and Risk Division. Thus, there was a court-supervised transfer of certain swaps from Credit Suisse International to the London branch of UBS, AG that was compliant with UK law. This clearly refers to the AMC and GameStop swaps that are being moved from Credit Suisse to UBS, specifically UBS in London, not UBS in America or New York, where they would be required to notify the SEC of these particular swap transactions. Rather, it is an offshore subsidiary of UBS, where shorted shares were shorted options, and such synthetic swaps are exempt from reporting requirements. Additionally, it states that the London branch of UBS AAG did not adhere to the CFTC's uncleared swap margin requirements for these transferred swaps, nor did it comply with the swap clearing requirement for those same transferred swaps. Thus, this is really fascinating. It's true that these extremely covert transactions are taking place. Even Credit SW and UBS are not adhering to margin restrictions during these swaps or throughout these swap transfers, and they plan to open offshore overseas branches. Additionally, it makes it evident that these AMC and GameStop swaps are extremely large and are creating a significant issue. If they are required to move them to offshore branches, or if they are not meeting margin requirements, they are actually forcing UBS to fail margin requirements, which is a huge problem. What's especially intriguing is that according to Reese's Politics, UBS began hedging the GameStop swaps they inherited from Credit. This was in the fourth quarter of 2024. Naturally, they will probably need to keep using actual GameStop stock to hedge those swaps or else they risk collapsing. UBS has purchased more than 3 million shares of GameStop in order to hedge those short swaps. They may even keep growing their holdings. It would really be in GameStop's best advantage to squeeze if they keep hedging and expanding their stake, because they can then sell their 3 million shares at that higher squeeze price. Additionally, they will eventually have to close out the legacy swaps because there is no way that they will ever turn a profit. If they don't squeeze GameStop and sell those shares during the squeeze, thus it appears that UBS is in a challenging situation. They have a ton of GameStop shares to hedge, but they also have a ton of AMC and GameStop swaps. Since they will eventually have to close out the swaps and create a huge problem because the swaps will never turn a profit, it is truly in their best interest to squeeze GameStop and sell the shares for a profit. In addition to that, Trey has conducted research to determine whether other banks might fail in the event that UBS reported or closed out of the Credit Suisse swaps. And he discovered that those names include UBS, Deutsche Bank, Jeffernura, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs, He actually discovered it by revisiting the previous Arcus case and going over all of the Arcus data. Here, it is stated that Arcus had revealed that the long positions and swaps it had with Credit Suisse were, in fact, typical of the holdings it had with 6 other major brokers at the time: Morgan Stanley, Jeff, Nomura, Wells Fargo, Deutsche Bank, and UBS. Thus, Arcus was not merely holding these credits with Credit Suisse from GameStop. Additionally, they have comparable sized or identical GameStop swaps with several other significant Wall Street banks. Given that Credit Suisse lost $5.5 billion during the Arcus liquidations, it appears that Credit Suisse did hold the largest swap position. However, not all of the remaining banks were spared. Numerous other banks also suffered billion-dollar losses. They suffered a loss of almost $2.9 billion. UBS reported $774 million. Morgan Stanley, another billion, Deutsche Bank, Wells Fargo, and Goldman each reported negligible or insignificant losses. Therefore, we are aware that they had numerous GameStop swaps with Nura, at the very least, and probably Morgan Stanley and UBS as well. As a result, when these margin calls do occur, it has a significant impact on other Wall Street banks, which are also probably going to experience margin calls as the price rises. UBS will undoubtedly close out its swaps, but Nura will also have to do so, and Morgan Stanley will probably have to do the same, possibly even during a forced liquidation. We know that these short sellers are seeing stress on stocks like AMC and GameStop, but they are also experiencing stress on other meme stocks like HTZ, which more than tripled in value over the past week in a single day, going from less than $3 per share to at one time more than $9 per share. You might recall HTZ from 2021's May, June, and July. HTZ was trading at about $40 a share at one point. Not only did it 10x, but it also 100Z to almost $1.45 per share in a matter of months. Thus, these short sellers are already beginning to lose money on other meme stocks, such as HTZ. Furthermore, only last week, when the price of AMC was once again trading at above $300 per share, we witnessed these short sellers falter once more. Additionally, we're witnessing those short sellers slipping with gold somewhere else. In case you were unaware, gold has performed the best since the 2022 stock market crash. Here, gold is contrasted with a variety of asset types, including the Nasdaq, S&P 500, FTSE 100, and others. And gold is surpassing them all. The price of gold has surged from less than $2,400 per ounce to more than $3,300 per ounce, particularly in the past year. Furthermore, we can observe that, particularly in 2025, the S&P 500 is down more than 10% for the year, while gold is up 26%. I wanted to discuss today's sponsor, Gold Mining Inc., whose ticker symbol is GLDG, because it is currently trading just a few cents above its 5-year lows, which were set during the worldwide panic of March 2020, with $156 million in cash and stock assets and 79% of USGO and slightly more than 12% of GROI. Gold Mining Inc. has a market capitalization of about $164 million. As of April 16th, Gold Mining Inc. has 9.9 million USGO shares, which are valued at $17 million, $21.5 million. Shares of the GROI ticker were valued at $36 million, together with $7 million in cash and financial equivalents. Additionally, they have 12 gold mining projects. When the corporation first bought its 12 gold properties, the cumulative market capitalization of the companies that owned them peaked at over $850 million Canadian, which was significantly closer to par with the USD between 2010 and 2012 than it is now. The peak share price of each firm prior to acquisition was used to compute the combined peak market capitalization. To put it simply, between 2010 and 2012, Gold Mining Inc. purchased firms with peak market capitalization of $850 million Canadian. However, as of last week, Gold Mining Inc.'s market capitalization was only $164 million. Furthermore, the spot price of gold was just about $1,925 in 2011. In contrast, gold is currently worth more than $3,200 to $3,300 in 2025. Additionally, keep in mind that Gold Mining Inc. owns more than simply these 12 gold mining properties. Additionally, they control 12.7% of Gold Royalty Corp., ticker symbol GROY, and 79% of U.S. gold mining, ticker symbol USGO. Additionally, Gold Mining Inc. is currently trading at 84 cents, which is close to its 5-year lows. 12 projects totaling an estimated 12.4 million ounces of gold, equivalent mineral resources in the measured and indicated category, and an additional 9.1 million ounces in the inferred category are owned by Gold Mining Inc., ticker symbol GLDG. Ultimately, Gold Mining Inc.'s ticker symbol GLDG is close to its COVID-19 lows, down 68% from its 5-year high, while gold is trading at an all-time high. Thus, investigate Gold Mining Inc. on your own. Now, according to this fortune story, hedge funds are the new shadow banks, and some people are concerned that they could endanger financial stability as a whole. Accordingly, 49% of global financial assets, or $250 trillion, are now accounted for by shadow banking. Compared to 2008, hedge funds now oversee 15 times as many assets. According to it, the recent spike in bond yields caused by hedge funds unwinding heavily leveraged trades has some people worrying this largely unregulated business could pose a 2008-style threat to the financial system. This article then discusses LTCM, or long-term capital management, which is a fascinating business. In fact, the large hedge fund was dissolved in 1998. It involved a large hedge fund that placed extremely risky wagers on bond market arbitrage chances, which is a lot like what Citadel is doing at the moment with the basis trade. When Russia failed to pay its loan in 1998, the company suffered irreversible damages. An orderly liquidation was organized with assistance from Wall Street banks. This indicates that Wall Street banks assisted LTCM in closing its doors, closing out its long-term and short-term bets, and facilitating a smooth liquidation. This is clearly something that Wall Street and the Fed want to accomplish this time around in an attempt to close out the AMC and GameStop swaps in an orderly manner. But I don't think that they will. As these Wall Street banks and hedge funds struggle to survive another day, I believe we'll witness the usual every man for himself rush for the exits. Many banks and hedge funds will ultimately be liquidated as a result of the smaller fish getting fried. In particular, the chair of the finance department at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania stated that he believes the exposure we are currently experiencing is far more than what we saw in 1998. Additionally, he stated that if these hedge funds do blow up, it will affect banks and other components of the financial system, which will ultimately have an effect on the actual economy. It appears that the risk that these hedge funds genuinely pose is finally beginning to be recognized by economists. However, I continue to believe that these economists are greatly underestimating the consequences of their illegal actions and the harm they will cause. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, people. As always, folks, don't forget to ring the notification bell so you may be informed whenever I post a new video.